Alright, so we've got the Vesta 3050 V2. This is the upgraded configuration featuring Sandy Bridge. It is pre-overclocked. So I want to show you guys what it looks like when it's off of the high-speed PC TechStation test platform and into the Fractal Design Define R3 white, Arctic white rather, case. So here, there's one thing I missed in my unboxing of the Arctic white Define R3, and that's that the LED here has been changed from blue to red. So there's something to show you guys. Here I have still an empty fan spot. You can populate that in your system if you want, but then I have one fan that's spinning in there. We've got a DVD multi-drive in the front. We've got a whole bunch of stuff running over here, which I'll get to in just a moment, but I just want to show you guys how all of the hardware packs into this case for optimal hardware packing. So, here we've got the MSI P67A GD53 at the core of our system. So that supports Sandy Bridge processors, supports up to 16 gigs of DDR3 dual channel memory. So here we've got a kit of DDR3 1333 from G-Skill. All right, we've got a GTX 560 graphics card. So this is the performance package, which means that, oh, this is the performance package. So I think, yeah, the 1600 had already been tested, and I believe the 1600 SKU was pulled out in order to validate the DDR3 1333 SKU with the auto overclocking feature of the MSI motherboard. So you can see here that OC Genie is enabled, and so that means that our CPU is actually not running at the default clock speed of 3.4 gigahertz, I believe it is, and it is instead running at 4.2 gigahertz and cooled by the Coolit Eco ALC water cooling system. So right here, the Eco actually has rotating fittings here, so no matter what, your system is going to not have any undue stress on the water cooling hosing. You do not ever have to maintain the Coolit Eco because it's pre-sealed, pre-configured, pre-everythinged, and so you don't have to worry about any of that. One of the things I want to show you guys is we do have the Eco set up for exhaust, so you could actually potentially get even better temperatures by configuring your Vesta 3050 with dual exhaust fans in the top and then an intake fan at the back instead of an exhaust, because that way you could be using fresh air instead of heated air in order to cool your CPU. Now, one of the other things we've got here is a Seasonic 620 watt 80 plus bronze power supply, although as you'll see with our power meter here, the absolute max power draw we were able to achieve with this system was 363 watts from the wall. So really that's about 320 watts, probably less than that. Probably about 315 watts being pulled from the power supply, and that was running small FFTs on the CPU for maximum power draw on the CPU, as well as 3D Mark 11 on the graphics card simultaneously. So the 620 watt power supply is totally overkill. It's never going to ramp up in terms of fan speed, always going to run nice and cool and quiet. So we've got an OCZ Vertex 2 120 gig SSD for our boot drive here, and then for our storage drive we have a 1 terabyte drive from, I believe it's Western Digital Green Series drive. You can add as many as 8 SSDs or storage drives should you so desire, and that would be a pretty extreme configuration. So let's turn our attention to the screen here, where we are running our Prime 95 test on all 8 virtual cores of the 2600K processor. You can see here our 2600K is clocked at 4.19 gigahertz using OC Genie, and that also enables any XMP profiles that are present on the memory. So in this case we're running the 1333 memory right now, so there are no XMP profiles, but if you did configure it with XMP profiled memory, it would enable that and you'd get the tighter XMP timings. So I think that's pretty much everything to say about that. Oh, here's our temps, right? So CPU temps, the maximum we've seen is about 70 degrees. So that is pretty darn impressive, especially considering that this is a silence optimized chassis and not necessarily an airflow optimized chassis, and that is while running 3D benchmarks as well as CPU benchmarks. Oh, what's this? Why did he move it? Oh, okay, it looks like the highest we've seen is about 75. Still not bad, still within reason, especially considering that in a real-world load environment, you are never going to stress your CPU as much as 8 threads of Prime 95 at the same time, plus a bunch of heat from the graphics card, causing it to be warmer inside and all that stuff. So you can see our CPU usage is pinned at 100%. We've done our full overnight test with the DDR3 1600 modules, which I've borrowed on another platform to test something else. And then it's going to run again overnight on the 1333 modules, and then we are ready to launch this system, and it will be available to the public because it will be fully validated. Don't forget, you can also buy the basic platform, which has a 2500K, a GTX 460, a lower end power supply, and it does not have an SSD for the boot drive. And it has the 1333 RAM, and I think those are all the changes. And that one is available for a lower price as well. Actually, Crazy Russian wanted me to show you one more thing, so I'm just going to... Okay, here, come around to the back so you can hear how loud the system is under load. So still not very loud, especially with the silent chassis and the fact that we have the mic positioned directly behind the case, which your ears will never be. But I'm going to turn off Prime 95. And you're going to hear that ramp right down. So when you are not taxing the system to the max, this thing is so quiet. Very, very impressive. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more tech videos, reviews, unboxings, and other, well, tech videos.